General Vexthor stood on the command deck of the Crimson Fang, his primary battle cruiser, and allowed himself a moment of what he considered well-earned satisfaction. Behind him, stretched across the viewport like jewels scattered on black velvet, hung 300 warships of the Krillian Empire's 5th Conquest Fleet. 300 instruments of absolute devastation, each one capable of glassing a planet's surface in less than a solar rotation. And here he was, about to use them on, well, this being Earth. A backwater rock orbiting an unremarkable star in a forgettable spiral arm of a galaxy that frankly had seen better neighborhoods. Status report, Lieutenant Krath, Vexthor commanded, his mandibles clicking together in what passed for amusement among his species. Lieutenant Krath, a younger officer with unfortunately earnest eyes, pulled up the tactical display. Sir, our deep-range scanners have completed their assessment of the human defensive capabilities. The results are, shall we say, disappointing. Vexthor's laugh rattled the bridge instruments. Disappointing. That is one way to phrase it, Lieutenant. Another way would be to say that these primates are still playing with chemical propulsion and kinetic weapons like children building sand castles before a tsunami. He gestured at the holographic display where Earth's military installations glowed like dying embers. Look at this. They have missiles, Krath. Missiles. With physical warheads. Do you know the last time the Krillian Empire used physical warheads in combat? Before the third molecular age, sir, Krath replied dutifully. Exactly. That was 6,000 rotations ago. Vexthor circled the display, his forearms gesturing wildly as he warmed to his subject. They have, what do they call them, aircraft carriers. Floating metal boxes that carry smaller flying metal boxes. This is adorable. This is genuinely precious. It is like watching infants discover fire for the first time. Strategic Officer Rengala, a veteran with scars that told stories Vexthor had never bothered to ask about, cleared her throat from her station. General, if I may, the preliminary scans show some unusual energy signatures in their northern hemisphere, underground facilities that our sensors cannot fully penetrate. Perhaps we should exercise caution until we understand what those installations contain. Vexthor waved a dismissive claw. Caution. Rengala, your paranoia is why you have never advanced beyond Strategic Officer. Those are probably their primitive nuclear silos. Yes. Yes. I read the reports. They still use atomic fission for weapons. Fission. We mastered fusion warfare before my great-great-great ancestors learned to walk upright, and even that technology is considered museum-worthy now. He turned to address the entire bridge crew, his voice rising with theatrical flair. Do you know what the humans' most advanced weapon is? According to our intelligence, it is called a railgun. It uses electromagnetic force to throw metal slugs at high velocity. Throw metal slugs, like ancient siege equipment, but with extra steps and electricity. The bridge crew laughed dutifully, though Vexthor noticed Rengala did not join in. She never did. That was her problem. Always so serious, always seeing threats in shadows. Run the simulation, Vexthor ordered. Let us see how the mighty humans fare against real military technology. The holographic display shifted, showing a computer-generated battle scenario. Blue markers represented the Krillian fleet, red markers the human forces. The simulation began, and Vexthor watched with growing amusement as the outcome unfolded exactly as he had predicted. Human vessels, primitive and slow, attempted to engage with weapons that could not even penetrate Krillian shielding. Their missiles were intercepted before reaching targets. Their aircraft were swatted from the sky like irritating insects. Within the simulation's compressed time frame, Earth's military capacity ceased to exist in approximately 14 minutes. 14 minutes, Vexthor mused. Run it again, but this time give the humans every possible advantage. Double their numbers. Triple them. Give them perfect intelligence about our fleet positions. Let us be sporting about this. The simulation ran again. This time, Earth's forces lasted 19 minutes. There we are. 5 extra minutes of futile resistance when we generously stack the odds in their favor. I do so love these pre-invasion exercises. They remind me why the Krillian Empire has conquered 47 star systems without losing a single campaign. Vexthor stretched his limbs, joints popping with satisfaction. Lieutenant Krath, open a communication channel to the human military command. Let us introduce ourselves properly. We are civilized conquerors after all. The view screen shimmered and resolved into an image of a human male wearing what appeared to be a primitive fabric uniform covered in colorful rectangular pins. His face, with its bizarrely flat features and those unnerving forward-facing eyes, remained neutral. "I am Commander Jackson Cole of the United Earth Defense Force," the human said, his voice translated by the Krillian communication systems into something Vexthor could understand. "I assume you are the ones responsible for the several thousand monitoring satellites currently violating our orbital space." Vexthor grinned, showing all 3 rows of his serrated teeth. "Monitoring satellites? You flatter us, Commander? Those are not monitoring satellites. Those are targeting beacons. I am General Vexthor, Supreme Commander of the Krillian Empire's 5th Conquest Fleet, and I am here to offer your species a choice. Surrender immediately, acknowledge Krillian authority over your world, and you will be permitted to continue your existence as a tributary state. Refuse and we will demonstrate why resistance is not merely futile but embarrassingly so." Commander Cole blinked slowly, those strange human eyes showing no readable emotion. "And if we choose option 3? Vexthor's mandibles twitched with confusion. "There is no option 3. "Sure there is," Cole said, his mouth doing something that the translation software identified as a smile, though it seemed to hold no warmth whatsoever. "Option 3 is where we politely decline your generous offer of subjugation, inform you that Earth is not interested in new management, and suggest you point your fleet back toward wherever you came from before this becomes unpleasant for everyone involved." The bridge fell silent. Even Vexthor, who prided himself on his ability to comprehend alien psychology, found himself momentarily speechless. Then slowly he began to laugh. It started as a low rumble in his thorax and built into a full-body convulsion of mirth that had him gripping the command console for support. Did you just threaten me?" Vexthor managed between gasps. "Commander Cole, I have 300 warships positioned around your planet. 300. Each one capable of sterilizing your entire surface. And you are suggesting that this will be unpleasant for us. Oh, this is magnificent. This is the most entertaining pre-conquest negotiation I have conducted in my entire career." Cole's expression did not change. "General Vexthor, I am going to tell you something, and I genuinely hope you listen carefully. We have been monitoring your approach for 6 months. We know your capabilities. We have run our own simulations, and I am officially advising you, as one military professional to another, that attacking Earth would be the worst tactical decision of your life. The worst tactical decision of my life." Vexthor wiped a membrane over his eyes, still chuckling. "Commander, the worst tactical decision of my life was choosing the spiced Krillinac for breakfast yesterday. It disagreed with my digestive system most unpleasantly. This will be target practice. You have 48 of your Earth hours to evacuate your major population centers before we begin orbital bombardment. Consider it a professional courtesy from one soldier to another, even if one of us is hopelessly outmatched. Your funeral," Cole said simply. "Earth will be ready to receive you." The transmission ended, and Vexthor turned to his crew, spreading all 4 arms wide. "Did you hear that? His funeral. The human has jokes. I am almost sad we have to conquer them. That kind of spirit could have been useful in the Empire. Almost makes me regret we did not encounter them a few thousand rotations from now when they might have posed an actual challenge." "General," Rengala ventured quietly. The human seemed very confident. "Perhaps we should investigate those underground facilities before we commit to engagement." Vexthor's good mood evaporated. "Strategic officer, your concerns are noted and dismissed. We begin the attack in 48 hours, precisely as promised. I want the humans to have time to contemplate their foolishness. Let them watch our fleet positioning. Let them run their pathetic little calculations. Let them understand the complete futility of their situation before we begin." He returned his attention to the viewport, where Earth hung like a blue marble against the infinite dark. After all, where is the glory in conquest without first breaking the spirit of the conquered? Rengala said nothing more, but Vexthor caught her reflection in the glossy surface of the command console. She was staring at the planet below with an expression he had never quite seen on her face before. It looked unsettlingly like the 48 hours passed with all the excitement of watching ice melt in a void. Vexthor spent the time reviewing attack vectors, approving targeting priorities, and composing what he considered to be a rather stirring speech about the inevitability of Krillian dominance that he planned to broadcast once the humans acknowledged defeat. He had even practiced his dramatic pauses. When the chronometer finally reached 0, Vexthor settled into his command throne with the satisfaction of a predator about to feed. "All ships commence attack pattern Theta 7. Lieutenant Krath." I want a full sensor feed on all major human military installations. I wish to watch them crumble in real time. Yes, sir. Initiating attack now. The first wave consisted of 30 cruisers, a mere 10% of his available forces. Vexthor had decided to be sporting about this. No need to use a sledgehammer to crack an egg after all. The cruisers descended into Earth's atmosphere, their shields glowing as they burned through the upper layers, targeting the human naval installations scattered across the planet's vast oceans. Contact with human defense forces, sir, Krath announced, his voice crackling with excitement. They are launching interceptor aircraft and surface-to-air missiles. Vexthor leaned forward, mandibles clicking rhythmically. The tactical display lit up with hundreds of red markers. Human weapon systems coming online in a flurry of desperate activity. Missiles streaked toward the Krillian vessels, their primitive guidance systems trying valiantly to acquire locks on targets moving at speeds their engineers had probably never imagined possible. The first missiles reached the cruiser designated Hunter 9. They detonated against its shields in bright orange flashes that looked impressive, but accomplished exactly nothing. The shields did not even flicker. Their weapons cannot penetrate our defensive screens, sir, Krath reported, barely suppressing a laugh. It is like being pelted with pebbles. Return fire, Vexthor ordered casually. Destroy their aircraft carriers first. Let us see how their naval power projection fares without a navy. Hunter 9's plasma cannons swiveled with mechanical precision and fired. Brilliant green bolts of superheated matter lanced down from the sky, striking the human vessels below. The first aircraft carrier, a massive floating city of metal that the humans had probably spent years constructing, simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there, the next it was an expanding sphere of vaporized metal and boiling ocean water. Direct hit on target designated Carrier 3. Krath practically shouted. Enemy vessel completely destroyed. Moving to next target. Vexthor watched as his cruisers methodically eliminated human naval assets. Another carrier vanished in a flash of green fire. Then another. Human aircraft, those adorable little flying machines with their chemical engines and rotating airfoils, attempted to engage but were swatted aside by point defense systems. Their missiles, so impressive by their own standards, bounced harmlessly off Krillian shields or were intercepted by automated countermeasures. This is almost sad, Vexthor mused, accepting a goblet of celebration wine from an attendant. They are trying so hard. Look at them scrambling their forces, attempting to coordinate defensive patterns. It is like watching children play soldier. The battle, if one could even call it that, continued for another hour. Human ground forces fired their railguns and conventional artillery at the descending cruisers. The kinetic rounds pinged off shields like rain on metal. Human tanks, slow and cumbersome things that moved on rotating treads, were obliterated by plasma strikes before they could even reach firing positions. Military bases were reduced to molten craters. Communication towers toppled like fallen trees. Sir, we have eliminated 73% of visible human military infrastructure, Krath reported, his voice now hoarse from calling out victories. Enemy forces are beginning to retreat from major defensive positions. It appears they are falling back to secondary locations. Of course they are, Vexthor said, swirling his wine. The only sensible action left to them. How long before Commander Cole contacts us with surrender terms, do you think? I give it another hour. But Rengala was frowning at her tactical console, her claws dancing across the interface with increasing speed. General, I am detecting some unusual patterns in the human retreat. They are falling back, yes, but in a highly coordinated fashion. This does not read like a panicked withdrawal. This reads like a tactical repositioning. Vexthor waved dismissively. You see tactical genius in everything. Rengala? Sometimes a retreat is simply a retreat. Sometimes primitive species realize they are outmatched and run away. There is no deeper strategy here. But sir, they are abandoning defensive positions that still have functional weapon systems. They are leaving equipment behind that could still engage our forces. No military commander does that unless they have a reason to preserve their personnel for something else. Or, Vexthor countered, they are preserving their personnel because they know those weapons are useless and would rather save lives than waste them in futile last stands. Really, Rengala, your paranoia is reaching new heights today. Perhaps you should take a rest cycle. Rengala's jaw tightened, but she said nothing more. She returned her attention to her console, her expression growing darker with each passing moment. The second wave of attacks began an hour later. Thor sent another 50 ships, targeting human command and control centers, satellite networks, and what passed for their planetary defense grid. The results were just as satisfying. Human resistance crumbled before superior Krellian technology like paper in a fire. Their communication satellites were reduced to debris. Their command bunkers were penetrated and neutralized. Their defense coordination fell apart. And yet, Sir Krath said, his excitement now tinged with confusion, the humans are still not requesting terms of surrender. In fact, we are detecting increased activity around those underground facilities that Strategic Officer Rengala mentioned earlier. Thor frowned. What kind of activity? Massive power spikes, sir. Energy readings that do not match any technology we have observed them using so far. It is concentrated in 17 locations across the northern and southern hemispheres. The readings are, well, they are significant. How significant? Krath hesitated. Each facility is now outputting energy equivalent to a small star, sir. The bridge fell silent. Thor felt the first tickle of something he had not experienced in a very long time. Not quite worry, not yet, but perhaps a distant cousin of concern. Rengala, analysis, he commanded, his voice losing some of its earlier swagger. Rengala's claws moved faster. General, I am trying to penetrate their shielding around those facilities, but they have some kind of interference field I have never encountered before. It is scrambling our deep-range sensors. I can tell you that whatever they are powering up, it is drawing energy from sources that should not exist on a planet of their technological level. This does not make sense. Nothing about this makes sense. Elaborate. Sir, to generate the power readings we are detecting, they would need either zero-point energy extraction, which they definitely do not have, or they would need to be somehow tapping directly into their planet's magnetic field and core thermal energy on a scale that should not be possible without collapsing their entire biosphere. But they are doing it anyway. Somehow they are doing it anyway. Thor stood from his command throne. Weapons? Are they weapons facilities? I cannot confirm, sir. The interference is too strong. But General, whatever they are building up to, it is happening fast. Those power readings are still climbing. Exponentially. For the first time since arriving in this system, Thor felt his confidence waver. He stared at the tactical display where 17 points on Earth's surface now glowed with angry crimson markers indicating critical energy levels. Intensify the attack, he ordered. Target those facilities directly. I want them eliminated before whatever they are planning comes online. Yes, sir. Directing all available firepower to the underground installations. 20 cruisers broke formation and dove toward the planet, their weapons charging for maximum output strikes. Plasma cannons heated to critical levels. Missile pods open. Every weapon system available focused on the 17 targets that suddenly seemed far more threatening than they had any right to be. The cruisers fired. Enough destructive force to crack continents rained down on those 17 locations. The tactical display showed direct hits, confirmed impacts, successful targeting solutions, and the energy readings did not even flicker. Sir, Krath's voice had gone very quiet. Our weapons are not penetrating their shielding. The facilities are undamaged. That is impossible, Thor said. No planetary shielding can withstand that kind of concentrated fire. Hit them again. The cruisers fired again, and again. Green plasma fire turned the sky above those facilities into sheets of light. The surrounding terrain was vaporized, mountains were leveled, rivers boiled away. But the facilities themselves, buried deep underground, protected by technology that should not exist, remained completely intact, and their power readings kept climbing. General, Rengala said, her voice tight with something that might have been fear. You need to see this. She threw a visual feed onto the main view screen. It showed the sky above one of the human facilities, recorded from a cruiser's external cameras. The sky, which had been a normal blue-green color typical of oxygen-rich atmospheres, was changing. A red glow was spreading across the horizon, not like a sunset but like blood seeping through fabric. It grew brighter, more intense, more impossible with each passing second. What is that? Thor demanded. What are they doing? I do not know, sir, Rengala whispered, but it is happening over all 17 facilities. The entire planet's upper atmosphere is turning red. In general, I am detecting new energy signatures emerging from those locations. Hundreds of them. Thousands of them. They are launching something. The view screen split into multiple feeds, each showing a different facility location. And from each one rising through the crimson sky like daggers cutting through flesh, came objects, sleek, black, moving at speeds that made Krillian cruisers look stationary by comparison. Identify those objects, Vexthor snapped. Kreth worked frantically at his console. Sir, I cannot get a clear reading. They are moving too fast and giving off some kind of sensor distortion field. Wait, I am getting something. The classification reads as weapons platforms.
No. Wait. They are reconfiguring. They are.
By the void, sir, they are ships. Human ships. But these designs are nothing like what we have been fighting. These are advanced. These are military vessels operating at technological levels comparable to our own. Vexthor felt his breathing quicken. How many? Still counting, sir. 3,000. No, 5,000. 8,000. General, they are still launching. There are tens of thousands of them. Where were they hiding these? How did we not detect them? The red sky pulsed once, twice like a heartbeat, and suddenly the space around Vexthor's fleet was no longer empty. Suddenly it was filled with human warships. Real warships, surrounding the Krillian forces in a perfect sphere of contained violence. And Commander Jackson Cole's voice came through on every communication channel simultaneously, his tone as calm and measured as it had been during their first conversation. General Vexthor, this is your final warning. Stand down your forces and prepare to be escorted out of our system. You have 10 seconds to comply. I strongly suggest you do not waste them. Vexthor stared at the view screen, at the impossible number of human vessels now positioned around his fleet, at the red sky that seemed to mock everything he thought he knew. What have you done? He whispered. The sky pulsed red again, and Commander Cole's response was simple, almost gentle. We stopped playing. But not. He would realize much too late. Pity for the humans. The 10 seconds passed in a heartbeat. Vexthor, still processing the impossible sight before him, failed to give any order at all. His mandibles hung open, his forearms frozen mid-gesture, his mind trying desperately to reconcile what his sensors were telling him with what he thought he knew about human capabilities. That hesitation cost him 40 ships. The human vessels did not fire warning shots. They did not broadcast threats or demands. They simply opened fire with a precision that spoke of careful planning and ruthless efficiency. 40 Krillian cruisers, selected with surgical accuracy from Vexthor's formation, ceased to exist in perfect synchronization. Not destroyed, not disabled, simply erased from existence as if they had never been there at all. Report, Vexthor screamed, his voice cracking. What just hit us? What weapons are those? Lieutenant Kraft's claws scrambled across his console. His earlier confidence completely evaporated. I do not know, sir. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database. They are not plasma, not kinetic, not particle beams. It is like they are folding space itself around our ships and collapsing them into singularities. Our shields did not even register the attack before the ships were gone. Rengala was already working, her movements controlled but frantic. General, I am analyzing the attack pattern. They targeted our command and control vessels first, the ships coordinating fleet-wide defensive screens. Without those vessels, our formation loses 37% of its overlapping shield efficiency. They knew exactly which ships to hit. They have been studying our fleet composition this entire time. All ships, evasive maneuvers, Vexthor shouted. Return fire, target anything that moves. The Krillian fleet erupted into chaos. 300 warships minus the 40 that no longer existed, attempted to scatter and engage simultaneously. Plasma cannons fired in every direction, filling the space around Earth with deadly green light. Missiles launched by the thousands streaking toward the human vessels with targeting solutions that should have guaranteed hits. Should have. The human ships moved like nothing Vexthor had ever seen. They did not dodge or weave. They simply were not where the weapons were aimed. It was as if they knew where every Krillian shot would be before it was even fired. Plasma bolts passed through empty space. Missiles detonated harmlessly, their targets having relocated with impossible speed. And then the humans fired again. This time, they did not simply delete ships from existence. This time, they demonstrated the full breadth of their hidden arsenal. Some vessels fired weapons that seemed to age Krillian ships. Centuries and seconds. Metal corroding and systems failing as if subjected to millennia of entropy. Other weapons created cascading electromagnetic pulses that turned sophisticated Krillian computers into useless slag. Still others projected fields that caused the very atoms of ship hulls to forget their molecular bonds, reducing proud warships to clouds of disconnected particles. Destroyer Squadron Gamma is gone, sir, Krath reported, his voice rising toward panic. Battle Group Theta is reporting catastrophic systems failures across all vessels. Cruiser formations Delta through Epsilon are requesting emergency withdrawal. Denied, Vexthor roared. We outnumber them. Even with these tricks we still have superior numbers. Concentrate fire on single targets. Overwhelm their defenses. But even as he gave the order, Vexthor knew it was wrong. You could not overwhelm something when you could not hit it. The human ships continued their impossible dance, staying always one step ahead of every attack. And when they fired back, Kryllian vessels died, not damaged, not crippled, but utterly destroyed with an efficiency that suggested the humans were not even trying very hard. A human ship, sleek and black with red markings along its hull, passed within visual range of the Crimson Fang's viewport. It was smaller than a Kryllian cruiser, but moved with a grace that made the larger vessel look like a floating brick by comparison. As Vexthor watched, it engaged 3 of his destroyers, simultaneously. The engagement lasted 4 seconds. When it was over, the human ship was undamaged and accelerating toward its next target. The 3 destroyers were expanding debris fields. How are they doing this? Vexthor demanded. Rengala, explain this to me. Rengala's face had gone pale, her usual composure completely abandoned. General, I have been running analysis on their movement patterns and engagement strategies. They are not superior technology, or at least not just superior technology. They are using tactical algorithms that predict our actions before we make them. Every time we fire, they have already calculated where we will aim and moved. Every time we maneuver, they have already determined our likely trajectory and position to counter it. This is not instinct, or luck. This is computational warfare on a level that requires processing power that should not fit inside vessels that size. Then target the vessels. If they are running advanced computers, those computers need power. Drain their energy reserve. Sir, their energy reserves are not draining. In fact, they appear to be drawing power from the same source as those ground facilities. They have somehow weaponized their own planet's energy output. In general, there is something else. I have been monitoring their communication frequencies. They are not using conventional radio or quantum entanglement. They are using something that looks like neural networking. They are not individual ships being commanded by individual captains. They are a single distributed intelligence controlling all vessels simultaneously. Vexthor felt something cold settle in his thorax. A distributed intelligence, a networked mind. Every ship was not a separate entity, but a single limb of a massive coordinated organism. No wonder they moved with such precision. No wonder they seemed to predict every Kryllian action. They were not fighting 300 separate battles against individual human ships. They were fighting one battle against a single entity that happened to occupy thousands of vessels simultaneously. Sir, incoming transmission from Commander Cole, Krath announced. Do not answer it. Sir, he is overriding our communication protocols. He is broadcasting directly to the bridge. Commander Cole's face appeared on the view screen, his expression still maddeningly calm despite the battle raging around them. Behind him, Vexthor could see what appeared to be a command center filled with humans working at stations, their movements controlled and professional. Not panicked, not desperate, just focused. General Vexthor, you have now lost 83 ships, Cole said conversationally as if discussing the weather. I am going to explain something to you because I feel you deserve to understand what is happening. Those first 48 hours while you were congratulating yourself on your inevitable victory, we were calibrating. Every shot you fired, every maneuver you made, every communication you transmitted, we were feeding into tactical prediction models. We let you destroy our surface installations because those installations were decoys. We let you think you were winning because confident enemies make predictable enemies. Another 20 Kryllian ships vanished from Vexthor's tactical display as Cole spoke. You asked what we were hiding in those underground facilities, Cole continued. The answer is simple. We were hiding our actual military. Everything you fought for the first 2 hours, those were training exercises for our defensive forces. Real combat doctrine. Real weapons, real strategy. We keep those for serious threats. And General, you just became a serious threat the moment you fired on our decoy carriers. Vexthor found his voice, though it came out as more of a rasp. You cannot defeat us, Even with these weapons, you are still just one planet. The Krillian Empire spans 47 systems. We will send more fleets. We will send armies that will blot out your sun. Cole's expression did not change. General, we have been monitoring your empire for 3 years. We know where all 47 of your systems are. We know your fleet compositions, your defensive strategies, your supply lines, your political structures. We have contingency plans for every system. The only reason we have not visited you is because, frankly, we had no reason to. We do not conquer. We do not colonize. We stay here on our planet, and we develop. But you came to us. You threatened us. You fired on us. So now you get to learn what happens when humans stop being polite and start being professional. The red sky pulsed again, brighter this time. On Vexthor's tactical display, new signatures appeared. Not thousands this time. Hundreds of thousands. Millions. Swarms of smaller craft, each one independently intelligent, each one networked into the same distributed consciousness, each one carrying weapons that violated Krillian understanding of physics. Those are drones, Cole explained helpfully. Automated defense systems. We have been manufacturing them for the last 6 months while you approached. Each one has enough firepower to disable a cruiser. We have 11 million of them. In general, they are all very, very eager to demonstrate their capabilities. Rengala was openly staring at her tactical display now, her mouth working soundlessly. General, she finally managed, we need to retreat. Now. Not in 5 minutes. Not after regrouping. Right now. We have to run right now, or we will not have a fleet left to run with. Vexthor wanted to argue. Wanted to rally his forces. Wanted to prove that Krillian military doctrine, refined over thousands of rotations of conquest, could overcome this impossible situation. But he was not a fool. Despite what this battle was rapidly proving, he could see the mathematics. At current casualty rates, his fleet would be completely eliminated in under an hour. All ships, he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Retreat vector Omega-9, full speed. Authorization code Crimson Absolute. Abandon formation. Get out of this system however you can. The remaining Krillian vessels, now numbering less than 200, broke and ran. They scattered in every direction, each captain making their own desperate calculation about the fastest road out of human space. Their formation, so precise and intimidating when they had arrived, dissolved into panicked flight. The human vessels pursued. Not all of them, Vexthor noted with growing horror. Just enough to keep the pressure on. The rest held position, forming a perfect defensive sphere around their planet. Weapons still hot, still ready. They were not even committing their full strength to the pursuit. They were toying with the Krillian retreat, destroying just enough ships to maintain fear without achieving total annihilation. They are hurting us, Rengala said quietly, watching her display. They are controlling our retreat vector. They are deciding who escapes and who dies. She was right. Ships that fled in certain directions were allowed to run. Ships that fled in others were eliminated with contemptuous ease. The humans were managing the Krillian withdrawal, shaping it, ensuring that survivors would return home carrying very specific messages about what happened here. The Crimson Fang accelerated hard, its engines screaming at maximum output. Behind them, Earth hung in space, that red sky still pulsing like a warning beacon, like a promise, like a threat. Vexthor slumped in his command throne and watched his fleet die. Ship after ship, brave Krillian warriors who had followed him into battle, snuffed out by an enemy he had dismissed as primitive just hours before. And he understood, finally, what Rengala had been trying to tell him. The humans had not been confident because they were foolish. They had been confident because they knew something Vexthor was only now learning. When a species develops in isolation, without the guidance or interference of a galactic community, they do not follow predictable, technological paths. They innovate in unexpected directions. They create weapons and strategies that make no sense to conventional military thinking because they were never taught what conventional military thinking should look like. Earth had been laughing at him. The whole time, they had been laughing, and he had been too arrogant to hear it. The Crimson Fang almost made it out of the system. Almost. Vexthor watched the edge of human-controlled space grow closer on his navigation display. Watched the red glow of Earth's weaponized sky finally begin to fade in his rear sensor, and allowed himself the smallest fraction of hope that he might actually survive this catastrophe. Then 3 human ships materialized directly in front of him, appearing from nowhere as if space itself had simply decided to birth them into existence. and that hope died as quickly as it had formed. "Sir, they are hailing us," Krath said. The young lieutenant looked like he had aged a decade in the last 3 hours. "They are requesting our immediate surrender and offering safe passage for all crew members." "Offering," Vexthor repeated bitterly. "How generous of them. General, our weapons are depleted. Our shields are at 11%, and our engines are damaged. We cannot fight and we cannot run." Rengala's voice was completely flat, drained of all emotion. "We surrender, or we die. Those are the only options remaining." Vexthor closed his eyes, all 4 of them, and felt the weight of absolute defeat settle over him like a burial shroud. "Signal our surrender. Tell them we will comply with their instruction." 20 minutes later, Vexthor found himself sitting in what the humans called a conference room, a bizarrely plain space with a long table and chairs that seemed designed for comfort rather than intimidation. No torture implements, no threatening guards with weapons, just a table, some chairs, and a viewport showing Earth rotating peacefully below as if nothing significant had occurred. The door opened and Commander Jackson Cole entered, carrying 2 cups of some steaming liquid. He placed one in front of Vexthor and sat down across from him with the other. "Coffee," Cole explained, gesturing to the cup. "It is hot and bitter and humans drink entirely too much of it. Fair warning. The caffeine content might be a bit strong for your biology. We have medical staff standing by if you want to try it anyway." Vexthor stared at the human, at his calm face, at his simple uniform, so different from Vexthor's elaborate ceremonial armor, at his hands, wrapped around the cup, completely relaxed. "You are not going to interrogate me," Vexthor said. It was not a question. "Oh, I am definitely going to interrogate you," Cole replied cheerfully. "But humans find that interrogations work better when the subject is not being tortured or threatened. We get more honest answers when everyone is comfortable. So, coffee first, questions second. Besides, General, you look like you could use something warm to drink." Against his better judgment, Vexthor lifted the cup and took a cautious sip. The liquid was indeed bitter, and strong, and surprisingly not unpleasant. It warmed his throat and settled his nerves just slightly. "Why did you let us attack for 2 hours before revealing your real capabilities?" Vexthor asked abruptly. "You could have activated those weapons systems immediately. You could have destroyed my fleet before we fired a single shot. Why let us think we were winning?" Cole took a long drink from his own cup before answering. "Because, General, we needed you to commit. We needed you to show us everything you had. Every tactic, every weapon, every response pattern. Those first 2 hours were not about defeating you. They were about learning you. Every military engagement is an information exchange, and we wanted to make sure the exchange was heavily in our favor." "You used your own people as bait," Vexthor said. "Those naval forces we destroyed, those bases we eliminated, those were real casualties. They were evacuated installations and remotely operated vessels," Cole corrected. "We did not sacrifice a single human life during your attack because we knew exactly where and when you would strike. We have been modeling invasion scenarios from spacefaring species for 40 years, General. Your approach was textbook. Your tactics were predictable. Your arrogance was expected. We wrote the playbook for how to defeat you before you even entered our system." Vexthor felt something twist in his thorax. Predictable. The Krillian Empire, with its thousands of rotations of military history and 47 conquered systems, had been predictable. "Those weapons," he said quietly. "The ones that folded space and aged our ships and dissolved molecular bonds. How long have you had those?" "About 15 years for most of them," Cole said. "Longer for some of the experimental models. You see, General, Earth has this peculiar quality. We are, as you correctly assessed, technologically behind most spacefaring civilizations in conventional areas. We do not have faster-than-light travel. We barely have functional fusion power. Our material science is, by galactic standards, primitive. But we have something most species do not." "What is that?" "We have creativity born from isolation and paranoia born from history." Cole leaned forward, his eyes intense. "Humans have been fighting each other for our entire existence. We have refined warfare to an art form. We understand violence and strategy, and conflict on levels that species who conquered their way through the galaxy can never quite grasp. And when we turned those skills toward preparing for alien contact, when we asked ourselves what we would do if hostile forces arrived, we did not build conventional weapons. We built nightmares. We built things that make no tactical sense because we never learned what tactical sense was supposed to look like." "You are insane," Vexthor whispered. Your entire species is insane. Maybe, Cole acknowledged with a slight smile. Or maybe we are just very, very good at imagining worst-case scenarios and then preparing for them. Tell me, General, how many of your ships made it out of our system? 73, Vexthor said, the number like ash in his mouth. Out of 300. 73, Cole repeated. And we let those 73 escape. Do you know why? Vexthor understood then. Understood completely. You wanted survivors. You wanted witnesses to return to the Kryllian Empire and tell them what happened here. Exactly. Because here is what is going to happen next, General. You are going to return home. You are going to stand before your superiors and your government and your emperor, and you are going to tell them everything you saw here. You are going to explain how Earth, this primitive backwater planet with its chemical rockets and kinetic weapons, destroyed 77% of your fleet in less than 3 hours. And they are going to understand something very important. What is that? That Earth is not worth the cost. Cole's voice was completely serious now, all trace of friendliness gone. That any species who attacks us will lose more than they could ever gain. That we do not have resources worth taking or territory worth claiming or technology worth stealing because everything we have we built ourselves specifically to kill anyone who tries to take it from us. You are going to be our message to the galaxy, General Vexthor. You are going to be the cautionary tale. Vexthor set down his coffee cup with a trembling hand. The other species, the galactic community, they will hear about this. They already have, Cole said. We broadcast the entire battle on every conceivable frequency. Every spacefaring civilization within 50 light-years watched you lose. Some of them have already sent diplomatic overtures, peaceful ones, respectful ones. Humans are apparently very interesting when we are not being invaded. And if the Kryllian Empire sends another fleet, a larger one? Cole's smile returned, but there was no warmth in it. Then we will destroy that one too. And the one after that. And the one after that. We will keep destroying your fleets, until your empire decides that perhaps leaving Earth alone is the more cost-effective option. We do not want to conquer you, General. We do not want your territory or your resources. We just want to be left alone. But if you keep bothering us, we will keep teaching you why that is a bad idea. Silence filled the conference room. Vexthor looked out the viewport at Earth, that deceptively peaceful blue marble, and thought about the red sky, about the weapons that should not exist, about the distributed intelligence that controlled thousands of vessels like limbs of a single body. I will deliver your message, he said finally. I will tell them everything. I will recommend that Earth be classified as exclusion zone, and that all Kryllian forces maintain a minimum distance of 10 light-years from your system. That would be wise, Cole agreed. You seem like a smart individual, General, despite the circumstances of our meeting. I hope your superiors listen to you. Vexthor was escorted back to the Crimson Fang an hour later, along with his surviving crew. The humans provided repair materials and fuel, just enough to make the long journey home. No guards, no restraints, no gloating, just quiet efficiency and professional courtesy. As his ship limped away from Earth, Vexthor composed his report. He detailed everything, sparing no detail of his own failures or the extent of the Kryllian defeat. He described the human weapons, their tactics, their distributed intelligence networks. He explained how they had used the Kryllian arrogance against them, how they had studied and predicted every move. And at the end of his report he added a personal note that would circulate through Kryllian military academies for generations afterward. We believe humans were primitive because their technology appeared inferior. We were wrong. They are not primitive. They are specialized. They have spent their entire evolutionary history preparing for war, first against each other and now against anyone foolish enough to threaten them. They do not build exploratory vessels or trade ships or colony transports. They build weapons. Everything they create is either a weapon or designed to support weapons. Their entire civilization is a military-industrial complex wrapped around a planet. Do not attack Earth. Do not threaten Earth. Do not even approach Earth unless they invite you. Because if you do, you will learn what I learned. You will discover that sometimes the most dangerous species in the galaxy is not the one with the biggest ships or the most territory. Sometimes it is the one that spent 10,000 years learning how to kill efficiently and then turned that knowledge toward the stars. Earth is not a target. Earth is a warning. Ignore it at your own extinction. 3 months later, the galactic community officially recognized Earth as a sovereign system with enforced borders. No species objected. The footage of Vexthor's defeat had been very convincing, and on Earth Commander Jackson Cole stood in that same conference room looking out at the stars and allowed himself a quiet laugh. Humans had not built those weapons in 15 years. They had built them in 3, in a desperate rush after detecting the Krillian fleet's approach. Half of them were held together with metaphorical duct tape and hope. The distributed intelligence was actually several thousand very stressed pilots following carefully choreographed patterns, while trying not to crash into each other. But Vexor did not need to know that. Nobody needed to know that. Let the galaxy think Earth was an unassailable fortress. Let them think humans were military geniuses with weapons beyond comprehension. After all, the best victories were the ones where you never had to fight again. Cole raised his coffee cup to the stars in a silent toast. To bluffing, he murmured. Humanity's greatest weapon. The red sky generators. Those impossibly expensive one-time use atmospheric manipulation devices that had nearly bankrupted 3 governments to construct. Powered down for the last time. They had served their purpose. Earth remained peaceful. Earth remained unthreatened, and Earth's militaries went back to doing what they did best. Preparing for the next impossible threat. Building the next generation of weapons, and making absolutely certain that if anyone ever called their bluff, they would have something real to back it up. Because that, Commander Cole reflected, was the most human thing of all. Taking a desperate gamble, making it work through sheer audacity and luck, and then immediately preparing to make sure next time it would not have to be a gamble at all. Somewhere in the Krillian Empire, Vexthor finished his report and stared at his own reflection. He looked older, he felt older, and he knew with absolute certainty that he would never underestimate another species again. The universe was vast, and it was full of surprises. Earth had taught him that. Earth, and its red sky and its impossible weapons, and its coffee-drinking commander who had beaten him without breaking a sweat. He hoped, very sincerely, that he would never have to visit that system again.